I told him we should keep things strictly friendly. He didn't argue, didn't ask why, didn't try to change my mind. He just vanished so swiftly, so cleanly that I hadn't even reached my front door before realizing he'd severed all ties. There's something painfully cinematic about that kind of exit. One moment you're sharing a quiet, tender conversation, and the next, it's like you were never there at all. If you've ever spoken words meant to be kind only to watch them land like a blade, this is for you. If you've felt the sting of being erased without a single cruel word, then you know that silence can echo louder than any goodbye. It had all started innocently. As these things often do, we weren't together, not officially, not in any way that people would define in polite conversation, but we were far from strangers. We existed in that strange and beautiful space between labels, where the nights blurred into mornings over softly lit conversations, where texts were sent for no reason other than the quiet pull of connection. We made playlists for each other. We shared inside jokes that wouldn't make sense to anyone else. There were weekends that started with casual "you free?" and ended with waking up on the same couch, sunlight spilling across our faces, no pressure to define what we were. It felt effortless, light, like a song I hadn't learned the words to yet, but loved all the same. And maybe that's where I faltered, because I was still healing when he arrived, still gathering the fragments of myself after a breakup that had left me raw and uncertain. I wasn't looking for love, not consciously. He didn't arrive with fanfare or big declarations, just quiet presence. Day in and day out, there he was, solid, kind, steady. I grew used to his steadiness, like breath, like warmth, like something I hadn't known I needed until it was already a part of my life. He never said the words outright, but I saw it in the way he looked at me when I talked too much about something small, in how he remembered fleeting comments and tucked them into gestures, in how I could be entirely myself without fear of rejection. And it scared me, because I knew he was ready for something deeper, and I wasn't. Not because I didn't care, but because I did, maybe more than I knew how to handle. So I did the thing scared people do. I said the safest thing I could, the thing people always say when they don't know how to carry the weight of what they're feeling. I said, "I think we should just be friends." It wasn't rehearsed. It wasn't meant to be cruel. It just came out, fragile and trembling. We were sitting in his car outside my place. He'd just handed me a snack I'd mentioned craving days earlier, a small gesture, but one that caught me off guard. And in that moment, I panicked. I looked at him, that face so open, so warm, so utterly unaware of what I was about to say. And I tried to make it sound soft, like I could land a blow gently if I used the right tone. He didn't argue. He didn't flinch. He simply nodded, his silence more final than anything I could have imagined. I stepped out. The night air clung to my skin as I fumbled with my keys, shaking, already questioning every word I'd just spoken. I wanted to turn back. I wanted to knock on his window and say, "Wait, that's not what I meant. I'm scared, but I'm not done." But I didn't. I walked inside, sat on my couch, and reached for my phone. Blocked Instagram, WhatsApp. My messages couldn't be delivered. He'd unfollowed me on every platform, erased every digital trace of me. Like I was a dream he decided to forget the moment he woke up. The shock hit first, cold, sharp, then the panic, raw and frantic, and finally the ache, low and constant, like something had curled up in my chest and started grieving before I could even name what I'd lost. I hadn't expected it to end that fast. I thought we'd fade slowly, maybe still text here and there, maybe stay loosely tethered in that comforting limbo of almost. But he didn't allow it. He closed the book, tore out the pages, burned the bridge, and that more than the silence hurt, because in his absence, I had nothing left to lean on but the hollow reassurances I kept whispering to myself. "You did the right thing. He deserves someone who's ready. You're still healing." But the more I repeated those lines, the more they crumbled. Because the truth wasn't that I didn't want him. The truth was that I didn't know how to be wanted by someone so gentle. Someone who didn't ask me to prove or fix or contort myself. He simply offered kindness and waited, and I couldn't receive it. I didn't know how. So I did what I thought would protect me. I used the word friends like a shield. Like it could buy me time. Like it could let me hide from my feelings without breaking anything. But I broke it anyway, not with cruelty, but with cowardice. He never said goodbye, never sent one last message, never asked for an explanation. He just left, and somehow, that silence cut deeper than any angry outburst could have. Because I wanted him to care enough to ask. I wanted him to fight for it, for me. But he didn't, and I can't blame him for that. Since then, I've written him messages I never sent, a dozen or more, all starting with hey and ending with the backspace key. Because what do you say to someone who took your words as a full stop instead of a pause? How do you tell someone you hurt them not because you didn't care but because you cared too much and didn't know how to stand in the light of that kind of love? I still think about him, not an idealized version. Him, the way he made the world seem quieter, the way he listened like every word I said had value, the way he looked at me like I was whole even when I felt like scattered pieces. I don't know if he ever thinks of me. I don't know if he'll ever read this, but if he does, I hope he knows I didn't say just friends because I wanted less. I said it because I didn't know how to handle more. If you've ever pushed someone away before you could share the full weight of your heart, if you've used safe words to protect yourself from the messy truth of real emotion, if you've been erased and felt like you deserved it, know this. You're not alone. I see you. I've been you. Sometimes love shows up before we know how to hold it. And sometimes silence is the only thing left after we fumble the moment that mattered most. What we learn from that silence is what shapes who we become next.